between the draft and this first day of free agency, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, like obviously I don't see a lot of young players play through the season other than the odd World Junior game. So I kind of go on management's excitement, and they were pretty excited, so that makes me happy. Today's an exciting day for, us moving forward and adding some players. I was over at the other rink earlier, and the phones are ringing off the hook, but which is a good thing. I guess until it's all said and done, and even today, it's only the first day. Sometimes things trickle in later, even all the way up to camp when you add the last little bits. But so far, been pretty exciting and excited, and I'm looking forward to, seeing what we get finally, and then the coaching staff's got to start working at seeing where everybody fits in.
What's the process like for you, Luke, when it comes to free agency and how much input you're having as far as line combinations are going to look like, or what player A is going to bring to the table?
Yeah, I think obviously management, that's their job, is to find the best suited players for us, and I think the key is we've at our exit meetings at the end of the year. They expressed, where we want to go with the organization. I'm very excited to start trying to move this organization forward now. It was a tough 2 years at times, but there was times that we saw some really good signs, and I think now it's to take those small signs and put some execution around them to make sure that we can start moving forward. So, I have a lot of dialogue with Kyle and the management team at the end of the season, and I think being on the same page, it allows them to do their job today. And really, the draft, I'm just there to kind of sit and support and not do too much, but smile for the pitchers, I guess. And then today, it's more, they know the direction that they would like to go with the organization, and I think we're all in the same board where we want to go and how we're going to do that. And I think now today it's Kyle and his team's job to find all the best pieces out there. And the last 3 years, it's always kind of been the same. So, a lot of dialogue before, but again, like the draft and then free agency, it's the management's job to do that. And I like to be around just to kind of hear what's going on, but that really, there's not much for me to do in that department.
Kyle reports it seems like you guys are getting a lot more depth and a lot more veterans. How do you realistically balance that with giving Nazar or Slag or guys that like they may have to fight for the spot, but also maybe those are probably more important in the long-term plan. How, as a coach, do you have to kind of balance what's important now and the future and that kind of thing?
Well, I think you see how hard the playoffs are, and if you want to compete in this league every night, you have to have the veteran depth there to help nightly basis. And I think also building the depth up in the organization. We saw it with injuries last year, and I know it was an abundance of injuries at once or trickled together. You just have to have a better depth market to. You can't just bring up all young guys when they're not ready. The idea for Rockford is to develop, and to pull them out of that too early, it's hard. It kind of takes them out of their timeline. I think, and sometimes puts them even back farther behind. So I think adding the veterans and the everyday NHL players to compete and execute every game, every play. Like we saw the Stanley Cup comes down to Game 7, 2-1 game, and Florida didn't make a mistake in that game, and that's how you win in this league. And I think that's where we got to try and build our team.
At the end of the season, Nick and Seth and a couple others used the term identity pieces. Is that a term that you like as well?
I think the identity of our team has got to be a work ethic team, and I think with the excitement that this building always brings here in Chicago, we want to match that and take that and play like that. And I think we have at times the last 2 years since I've been here, but not consistent enough. And I think that's where we got to help the group that's on the ice achieve that. And I don't know about identity. It's not a word I'd probably use every day, but I think it's something that's got to be instilled in us that we don't even have to say that word. It's just there. And I think that's where we want to grow to.
How much is it also helping guys like, again, building veterans around Bedard, around the Korchinskis and the Vlasics and everything, and helping those guys develop with those veteran presence?
Yeah, no, I think we have to have the right ones, and we have to have enough of them to sustain, our play every night and to help push the players that are the young players coming and learning. As great as Connor played last year and winning the Calder and everything, that's great. He's still, I don't even think he's 19 yet. He's still 18, and he's still learning. And we have to give them all the support, and Kevin as well. Like last year, at times we were probably thin on defense. I think we had, I think we had 4 or 5 young defensemen in the lineup at certain times last year, and that takes its toll. I think they did a great job, but to survive in this league, you need some veteran guys to help them. That are everyday. They're used to being everyday, NHL players, and that helps them, and it helps their development, but it also helps them survive within the hardest league in the world in our profession and our sport.
Are you excited to kind of go through the process of figuring out where these guys fit? As you mentioned?
Yeah, and a lot of times sometimes the players figure it out themselves. They see who the players are here, and they know who plays where and plays where well, and I think you have to play to your best asset, and we kind of know the veteran players a little bit more on where they're better situated, and talk to them and find out if they're comfortable in those areas or if they've played in a different position, whether it's 5-on-5 or on special teams, and to make sure that they're comfortable, because if they're not comfortable, then obviously they're not going to succeed, and that's not going to help us as a team succeed. So we got to kind of work through that and see who we get at the final minute here, and what our lineup's going to look like, and where everybody's going to fit in together.
What excites you about Levshinoff and the package he could bring down the road?
Yeah, no, I think great personality. He's got he's got an NHL physique already. Like, he's a big dude, and he's got a great smile. And I think every day for him is just a good day. And it's going to bring personality as well as high-end talent. And I think he's a physical guy. I don't know how mean he is, but we can always create a little bit more meanness in him. But I think just he's a big guy, and when he's going out, he wants that puck, and people bounce off of him. So that physicality is going to really help out in the back end. He's a right shot, which, everybody's always seems to be looking for a right shot defenseman, and a guy that can be that dynamic and be that big already. It's just going to be fun to watch him grow and see where he goes.
Speaking of, are you moving the boxing this year?
No boxing this year, no. Not here anyways, but, I think we did it last year, and they want to try and hit everywhere, and there's lots of guys that have been here for over a year, they've been returning. We try and change it up, and I think Mark Eaton does a great job of giving them all kinds of angles that they take in every year to kind of help, whether it's now or maybe it's later down the road. Sometimes if they're listening, something kicks in later down the road when they need it. And I think that's smart. That's it's why it's called a development camp, is to give them all the information. And we also had Barry Brennan in last year at the end of the year for a couple days here and in Rockford. So we might look towards doing that during the season and get some of the younger guys here, but even the older guys, I think Nick likes getting in there and boxing with the guys in the gym. So, and it's not to try. We're not trying to create fighters here. It's just another aspect of development of physicality and being comfortable out there. And things happen fast in hockey. You want to just have a few pointers to help protect yourself more than anything.
What are your impressions of guys like Bertuzzi and Teravainen, and how they each might help you on the ice?
Yeah, they're totally different players, but Bertuzzi's that guy. He's around the net, and he's hard to handle, and he scores greasy goals there. He's one of those guys you think you have him knocked to the ice, and even then he's going to score a goal. And he seems to have a lot of personality himself, so that'll be great. You can't have enough of that. And he's a big guy too. So around the front of the net, it's a hard place to score in this league, and I think the more guys that you have that are willing to go there but are also good in that area. There's guys that'll be willing to go there, but they're not really that comfortable there or don't like it. But he seems to thrive off of it, so that's going to be a big help. I think the blue paint and who controls in front of both of them the best is huge in this league. And once we get that next step and we can get to the playoffs, that's going to be a huge help to be comfortable there. Teravainen, I know he's been here before. It was younger stages in his career. I used to like him when he was here, and then when there wasn't enough room for him at that point with that big team, he just thrived with a good skating team in Carolina. So we hope he brings that mentality here. That the way Carolina plays is great. We always have trouble with them. They're fast. They're high-end skill. He can shoot the puck and make plays on the power play. So it's going to be really beneficial for us to have that.
What can Alec Martinez bring to your young decor?
He's a guy who can play either side. I saw him obviously lots in Vegas. We played against him when I was in Montreal in the playoffs, and he's a guy he played with both Theodore as a younger guy that likes to go, and he kind of settles things down with him. He's a competitor. He blocks shots. He just does all the integral parts of in the game that you have to do to win. And I think he's going to bring that leadership from his Stanley Cup winning days, both in LA and Vegas, and that's invaluable as well. It's that winning mentality and doing whatever it takes to win. And he's a guy that seems to be calm out there, but he moves the puck well. He's efficient. I think that's going to be great for us to have back there, and helping whether he plays on the left like with a Seth or on the right with Vlasic or something like that. I think he's going to be really big on that, and helping us out on the special teams as well.
If indeed you have a more established second goalie, how's that going to help Peter and just help your tandem?
Yeah, I think it's going to be two veteran guys that are solid. Like Brossoit had a real solid game against us last year. I don't know if he actually might have shut us out, I think, in Winnipeg and at one game, but he's a big guy, and he's got a lot of leadership qualities as being a veteran again. So helping younger D as well, like Peter, I've mentioned many times of him doing that as well on the ice and in practice and in the games even. And I think another veteran guy back there, Vlasic he had a great year, but he's still a young guy. And then if you have Korchinski or Kaiser or Artem coming up, all these young guys, it's great to have veteran guys that they can have communication with and help them establish their positioning even quicker in this league.
Initial thoughts on Sasha Boisvert coming over, going to go to North Dakota, comparables to any players you've seen in the past?
I haven't seen him play much, but just the stories I've heard from the scouts is, he's a big center that can score goals around the net, and I guess he's tough as nails. And if you're talking about boxing, I guess his dad owns a boxing gym, and that's going to be, if you can compare guys that are big in front of the net, like in his prime, like Wayne Simmons, and you go back even farther, like a Cam Neely, like guys that are big and tough and that have a scoring touch around the net. That it's hard to find those guys. So I think they were pretty excited to get him.
You alluded to it a little bit earlier, but you dealt with so many injuries last year, and with all these signings, how nice is it going to be where maybe you have one or two guys out of the lineup, guys aren't playing totally higher in the lineup or out of position, or maybe you can slot some of those veterans in the higher lineup.
Yeah.
How beneficial would that be?
No, the depth will be big. It'll be really big. And it'll also give us a chance to have guys that have gone through injuries and help guys that have never gone through big injuries, how you come back, or how you have to play a little bit through some pain, and you're not going to hurt yourself even more. It's hard to do. The first time you think you're hurt, you're just saying, I'm hurt. Well, I think there's different levels of that, and get guys that have gone through long Stanley Cup playoff runs that everybody's hurt at that point, and to learn what you can do and what you can't do, or am I going to hurt the team by playing through this injury and take some time off, or is it just going to be there and I have to learn how to play with pain, and I think there's going to be a lot of valuable information coming from the guys coming in with that.
I can't remember if we were asked about Patrick Maroon.
I have not, no,
Okay.
no.
Let me be first.
All right, thank you. Well, no, I think, obviously, I don't know how many Stanley Cup finals in a row he was in, and cups under his belt. And I know talking with John Cooper in the past, and he was disappointed to lose him. And he's had him, I think, all the way back from junior days. He's really liked by his teammates in the dressing room. He's obviously a big guy that can, if you're talking about Boisvert earlier, he's that guy that's big, tough, but he has good hands around the net. And it's hard to find those guys then, but obviously even a team like Boston realized that they could use his value in the playoffs, and and he's noticeable out there. He makes things happen. He keeps everybody honest on the ice too. He's old school tough, and he's a big guy, and he just seems to settle things down out there. Sometimes the guys that don't have to get into fights, physical altercations, because of their reputation, is even more valuable because it just settles everything down. I can send him on the ice at any time if things are getting a little bit out of control. Let's say like that New Jersey game last year, and he's the type of guy that can kind of maybe change the curve of that game.
How was
You
your
always
summer?
said, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask how your summer's been.
Good. I mean, it seems to have gone quick to this point. We don't like long summers in hockey, but we're hoping now we're going to get shorter and shorter, and that's the plan. And so I'm going to enjoy this long summer, and hopefully it's my last. And I was stuck around here for a while in May, and I hung out and went to the scout meetings because I like to kind of learn a little bit about the players and the young players, and at least know their names. And whether they come to us or they go to someone else, you never know when they come back. And after that, I went up to Ottawa for a bit. Went down to Boston to visit my daughter for a week, and then then back to Ottawa, and all of a sudden I'm here. Vegas, a little stop by in Vegas, and got heat stroke almost there, but I guess the heat was here and it broke, so I'm happy to be here this week.
And the wedding's upcoming?
My daughter's getting married in Boston the 28th of July, so that's coming quick, and we're looking forward to that.
You've always said you want to be tough to play against. It feels like on paper today you're tougher to play against than you were at the end of last.
Absolutely. You got big guys to go get pucks like Maroons and Bertuzzis, and we drafted guys like that in the future. But then once we get it, we want to be fast, and you get the Teravainens, and that's going to help us just keep that puck even longer. And I think that's the plan. The longer the puck possession that you have in this league, the more you can do with it, and it makes the other team frustrated and kind of takes them out of their game plan. So that's the way we want to play, is fast and hard. And I think we got definitely a big step towards that today.
One other thing too, is you touched on this earlier, you get a chance to help develop some of these young defensemen coming up with Arnold, and Kevin's now got a year under his belt, Alex has a full year under his belt. As a former defenseman, a good one in the NHL, how much do you enjoy the fact that now you get to develop what could be a very stable and good young core for years to come?
Yeah, that's when you see like the teams that have won the Stanley Cup over the last 10 years, like they have big, rangy guys that can move the puck, and then you have guys that are obviously that exceptional high-end octane players like the Makars, and that's what you're looking for. So when you add Artem into that, and you get Kevin a year under his belt, he's growing, he's still maturing, and you got Kaiser even that went down and worked on his game and came back and looked like a totally different player, like where he was at training camp the year before. And I think that's the development. With the development, and then you have some of the veteran guys surrounding them and letting us do that, I think it's going to be huge. But the future looks great for the organization. Kyle's done a great job of kind of spreading things out, and it's going to continue to spread out. Like when we got into this position, we have picks now, and we're still adding picks into like the 26s and stuff like that. It's going to keep them coming, and I think that's going to be the key. But when you get a real good forward defense, you can just never let it go, and that's what we're hoping to do. Excuse me.
You mentioned Rockford more. It seems like you can almost have a full roster of prospects in Rockford with such an influx in the recent drafts. Is there, from your own experience, is there a benefit for having a lot of guys kind of come through the system together, and maybe having a group of forwards or defensemen that play together?
Yeah, I think so, because as good as we're and as happy as we are to have all these young prospects, you really never know until who's going to make it through and be a stabilizer and be here for a long time. So we got to have a look at everybody and see where their progression goes in their development. I thought Landon had a great start last year at the end of the year, and same as Frank. And then and I think Kai's had it the year before. And I think what we want to do is just let the chips fall wherever they fall, but give them an opportunity to develop properly. I think last year at one point, instead of us using Rockford, I think Rockford was probably using us. We had everybody up here, and then every once in a while we'd send them one guy down when we start getting healthy. And I think that's going to be helpful this year, is to have that veteran depth presence here to allow the development in Rockford to really do its thing that it did for, Vlasic and then, Kaiser and whoever we needed for and coming forward. And even Reichs, when he went down, when he came back, he was always a different player because he goes down and he can get his confidence down there where you can't do that here. You're just going to get eaten up if your confidence is gone as a young player. So I think even having more veterans around them, if someone's starting to have a tough game, I think it's going to help them get out of it quicker and not keep going down that hill till where you have to take a drastic step to move them all the way back down to Rockford.
Have you had a conversation with Kyle, with all the talent coming in, about what the expectations are going to be, close to playoffs, or playoffs? What are those conversations?
I don't think we haven't had a conversation about expectations yet and goal setting yet. I think it was to get to this point and see who comes in and who we can kind of finish today and even going forward in free agency and seeing what kind of depth that we can add and what kind of team we can put together. And then we can kind of decide a little bit of a path if everybody's healthy, who could maybe play here, who could maybe do a benefit from a start in Rockford and develop there. And then, I think all the way down to the goalie position, I think adding another veteran goalie lets Arbor work on his game again. And I think at the beginning of last year, he was so excellent against Toronto, those 2 games. But as we got banged up and our lineup was, very young on the back end especially, I think when goals start going in on the back door and stuff, it takes away the confidence of the goalie and he's not trusting. And it got him right off his game. And he couldn't, work on his game at the NHL level. I think teams go right after him. So it's going to allow him to work on his game, build it back up to where it was, where he could come and steal a game in the NHL because he's got that ability. But not when his mind and confidence aren't right. So I think once we get all that established on who we have and where everybody's going to kind of situate in the organization, I think we'll have those conversations about setting goals and later on. I think we have to kind of let the dust settle and let ourselves get together. And there's going to be a lot of new players, so the coaches have again like another year. We got to really hammer things through quickly in training camp and create conversations with the new guys coming in and relationships with them that we can have conversations to make sure we're all in the same boat and where everybody feels comfortable where they're playing. And I think, we might even have to wait until the first quarter of the season, see how we start, and make the long-term predictions of next year then. Right now, I'm just kind of happy where we're going and where the lineup's starting to fill out, but we're not done yet, so we'll have to see where we finish.
I don't think we've talked to you since it got done, but how happy were you to see the organization get a long-term commitment done with Alex Vlasic?
Yeah, that's great. I think, he's a hometown guy and a big, tall, rangy defenseman that can skate like that. You just, I don't know if you can find them. So you got to try and lock it up. And I think, he's enjoyed a great start to his career here and realizes that he probably loves to be at home, which is great. It's a unique position for a player to play in his hometown. And we're excited to have him. So, that was a no-brainer for us. We just had to kind of convince him into doing it, and I think it's good. It's still kind of it's a lot of years, but he's a young guy, so he's still going to be just in the prime of his career when this is over. So we'll probably hope to lock him up again even then.